Hello, it's Beata from BA English Coaching and welcome to our next lesson. This time I am with David.
Hello everybody.
And we are doing a lesson about the Zero Conditionals. This is an interactive lesson. As always, I will ask you to pause the video, and it is a grammar lesson. We would like to make it engaging and fun. And since I love quotes, David has prepared one that fits perfectly with today's theme.
If at first you don't succeed, try and try again.
This is a very inspirational quote that, and by the way, who is it from? Who said this? Can you please give us a bit of a history lesson, despite the fact that David is a science teacher and a maths teacher, and the Zero Conditional has got a lot to do with science and...
Absolutely. Anyway, the quote came from King Robert the Bruce of Scotland, who was King of Scotland around the 14th century. And he came up with this quote just before the famous Battle of Bannockburn, when the Scottish army beat the English army for about the very first time. And it illustrates that if you keep trying your best, eventually you will succeed.
Exactly. As I said, this is an interactive lesson. We will read a short conversation with David. I would like you to pause the video after and can you please repeat after him and work on your pronunciation, intonation, expression, and also think about the uses of zero conditionals. So the sentences are all in bold.
One day, Josh was out fishing with his son Adam. After a while, Adam looked up at the clouds and asked,
"Dad, if you look into the air, it doesn't have any color. So why is the sky blue?"
Josh thought for a moment and then replied, "I don't know, son." A few minutes later, Adam said to his father,
"If I drop a stone into the water, it sinks. However, this boat doesn't sink. Why do some things float, but other things do not?"
"I can't remember, son, but I think I heard about it at school," replied Josh.
"Dad, if you try to breathe underwater, we drown. However, if you take a fish out of water, it dies. Why is that?"
"I haven't got a clue, I'm afraid," replied the father. Adam was worried that he started to annoy his dad, so he said,
"Dad, I hope you don't mind me asking you all this stuff."
"Of course I don't mind, son. It's good that you're asking all these questions," replied Josh. If children don't ask questions, they never learn anything.
Yes, very true. If you ask me all these questions, I would be, similar. But if you ask David, he would give you all these answers because, yes, as I said, he is a science teacher. We don't want the answers to these questions. We want you to pause the video and think about the uses of the zero conditional. So have a look at the sentences. When do we use zero conditional? There are 4 types of conditional sentences, and zero is not the one that is often taught at schools, but it is a really important kind of conditional. It's very common and it's very simple. We hope that you have come up with some ideas for when we use zero conditionals. So number 1, we use zero conditionals when we talk about general truths, universal principles, or scientific facts. For example,
Okay, so if you heat ice, it melts. If you put ice into water, it floats on the top. Iron goes red when it gets very hot. If it's 10 a.m. in Miami, it's 3 p.m. in London. If people travel a long distance, they often get jet lag. You get toothache if you eat too much sugar. You get stomachache if you overeat.
We use zero conditionals when we talk about habits, routines, or recurring events. So things that happen again and again.
For example, if Josh flies, he orders a special meal. If I drink coffee after 6, I can't get to sleep. If he is not at work, he is at home. She doesn't eat dinner if she works late. If I fall, I get back up again. If I fail, I try again.
If you look at the sentences, you will see that there is an if clause. An if clause often refers to a condition. So something that must happen so that something else can happen. Zero conditionals are all about general truths, universal principles, scientific facts, habits, routines, and recurring events. Zero conditionals, they are always in present simple. So the condition is in the present simple and the result clause is always in the present simple, or you can use modal verbs. For example,
if you don't water flowers, they die. If you eat too many sweets, you get toothache. If you drive too fast, you get a speeding ticket.
What happens and what sometimes confuses students is that when they see that the sentence does not start with if, which is very common, you can swap the clauses around. So if clause can come at the beginning or it can come at the end of the sentence. If it comes at the beginning, you separate it by comma, but if an if clause comes at the end, you do not need a comma. So if you eat too much, comma, you get fat. You get fat if you eat too much. There is no comma. So that's something you need to remember.
Hey, my impression as a native speaker is that an easy way to remember that is imagine a comma is a pause for breath. So in terms of a pause for breath and time. So for example, if you get the here before 8, pause, we can catch the early train. But you would say as a statement, oil floats if you put it on water. It's a much more positive, assertive statement.
Thank you so much, David, for this insight. So we've come to the end of the lesson. It was a short and sweet lesson, we hope, on zero conditionals. If you have found it useful and enjoyable, please like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. Our next lesson will be on the first conditional, and we would like to give you some final, what shall we call it, food for thought, something you can memorize, and it will help you with the grammar of the zero conditionals, but also it will inspire you to keep on learning, keep on improving. Listen to these 3 quotes.
If you don't ask, the answer is always no. If you don't step forward, you are always in the same place. If you improve 1% a day, then in 100 days, you're 100% better.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, David, for
thank you, Beata, for
doing the lesson with me. And remember, don't be the same, be awesome. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.